If you've ever wanted to create a Discord bot, then this is the crash course for you. I'm covering everything from the very basics of how to create your first bot, how to write your code, all the way to how to completely deploy your application for free. So let's get started now. Welcome back to Web Dev Simplified. My name is Kyle, and my job is to simplify the web for you so you can start building your dream project sooner. So if that sounds interesting, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Now, like I said at the beginning, I'm going to show you how to do everything you need to create your own Discord bot. And the reason I'm making this tutorial is because I recently made a Discord bot to use on my own server that I have to help people join my course channels, since I have private channels for everyone that enrolls in my courses. So I created a bot to help automate that process for me. And I found out it was incredibly easy to create, but it was a little bit difficult to figure out where to get started and how to deploy. So I'm going to be covering everything you need to know from getting started all the way to deployment so that it can be incredibly easy when you create your first bot. And the first thing you need to do when you create a bot is you need to go to discord.com/developers/applications. And if you just type in Discord developer in Google that and go to the first link, you should get brought to a page similar to this. You may get brought to the documentation. If that's the case, just click on applications up here. I'm going to zoom this in. You can see up here, it says applications, and you can see all of your different applications. And all you need to do is click new application because you're not going to have any right here like I do. So just click new application. And all you need to do is type in the name of your application. So you can type in something like, WDS application if it's, for my own server, but we're just going to call this we'll just call it my first bot application. There we go. Call it whatever you want and we'll hit create. And then this is going to create an application for us. You can see that it's just gave us a default logo. We can add our own logo. We can change the name of this description, and we have a bunch of different keys down here for adding this to our application. But since we want to use this as a bot, we need to come over to the left side of our screen where it says bot. Click on this, and this is where you can create your own bot. So we're just going to click add bot. And this says, do you want to add a bot to this server? You can't reverse this action. Of course, we want to do this. So we'll click yes. And then it's going to create our bot. And we can call this whatever we want. We'll just call it my first bot like this. And then down here, you can't really see this, but it says save changes. So we'll just click save changes. We put my camera back there. And then we just have a bunch of information about our bot, the different permissions we want to give our bot, and so on. But right now, we don't really need to worry about any of that. The only important thing that we need on this page is this thing called the token right here. This is a private token. You don't want to share this with anyone because essentially, if other people have access to this, they can write code to your bot. And obviously that's a bad thing. So you want to make sure that this is secret, which is why they have a regenerate button in case you accidentally expose this. But for our use case, we need to copy this. So we can click on copy, or you can reveal it like this. But like I said, if this gets exposed, make sure that you regenerate it to something else. And if we click yes, you can see it's going to give us a brand new token to use. So now all we need to do, click that copy button, and let's just move this over to the side of our screen. And you can see I have Visual Studio Code open, and I just have a completely blank editor open. And we're going to create a .env file, and this is where we're going to put our bot token. So I can just type in bot token equals, and then paste in our token like this. You can call this whatever you want. I just called it bot token. Now, if we save that, we have our bot token inside of an env file. And since we're most likely going to commit this to GitHub, I just want to put a .git ignore file in here. And I want to make sure I ignore the .env file. That way, when I commit this code to GitHub, it's not actually going to push my .env file, which means that this is going to stay locally on my computer and not be exposed to anyone. Now, the other thing I want to do is create a file called bot.js, which is where all of our bot code is going to go. And then since we're going to be using a library called discord.js, I want to set up npm for this project. So if we just open up the console inside of Visual Studio Code, type in npm init-y, that's going to initialize a project for us, and then we can just come in here and install this library. As you can see, it's called discord.js. So let's just install that library real quick. And now that that's finished, I want to set up and start testing my bot right away. So if I just scroll down on this page, you can see the example code here, and this is like the most basic bot that you can create. The first thing you need to do is actually get the Discord bot. So we can say const discord is equal to require discord.js. And then we can create our client. So we can say const client is equal to new discord.client, just like that. Now, before we start diving into the rest of the code inside this example, I first want to explain what this client is. This client is essentially a way that you can communicate with Discord and figure out all the things that are happening on the server. As you can see in this example, client.on, we can pass it in different events. In our case, ready is one of the events. And this is saying when our bot is ready and logged in, we can, run some code here saying that our bot is logged in. Also, when a message is sent on our server, we can use the client.onMessage to be able to interact with that message. So let's first do this login check here. We can just say client.on, pass it in the message ready here. This is the event we're listening for. And whenever this fires, that means that our bot has just logged in. So we'll just say console.log, our bot is ready to go. There we go. And then for now, we're just going to skip this message section and we're going to go straight to this login section. So we can say client.login, and this is where you pass that token that you got from the Discord developer section, this token right here. But that token right now is in this env file right here. So in order to get this out of the env file, we're going to be using a library called a .env. We can just say npm i.env, just like this. And then we just hit enter, and that's going to download this library for us. It's a very simple library that just takes files from .env and loads them up. And in order to do that, we can just require our .env library, and we can just call the config method. And all this does is it takes all of the environment variables we set in our .env file and loads them into the process.env variable inside of Node. So what we can do down here is just say process.env.bot token. And this name is just matching the name we put in our .env file. So now that's all the code we need to actually set up and log our bot in. So let's just run this and see what happens. And in order to set up a script to run this, we can go in our package.json. We can create a start script, and we're just going to call this here start, yep. And then all this start script is going to do is just going to run node.bot.js. So now we can just run npm start, hit enter, and that's going to load up our bot. And now you can see it says our bot is ready to go. So we at least are able to log in with our bot, which is great. So now how do we start interacting with our bot? Well, let's go back over to our bot.js. As you can see here, we have this section to listen for messages. So we can just say client.on message. This is going to occur when we get a message. And this message object that is being returned to us inside the function has a bunch of information that's really useful. So what we can do is down here, we can check the content of our message. So we can say if message.content is equal to ping, then we want to just reply with pong. So we'll say message.reply of pong, just like that. It's exactly what they have in this just getting started example, and this is just to help us understand the basics before we start diving into more complex topics. So we can save that, and now we have to close down our app and restart our application. It's kind of a pain to manually do that every time. So instead, I'm going to download a library called the nodemon. We can say npm i-save dev nodemon. What nodemon allows us to do is restart our application automatically every single time we make changes. And in order to run our application with nodemon, all we need to do is create a new script for that. So you can see we have our dependency for nodemon, and we can just say dev start. And instead of saying node, we say nodemon.js. Now if we say npm run dev start, hit enter, it's going to start our application. And you can see it says our bot is ready. And now if we make some changes to our code, for example, our bot is ready to go, put some exclamation points and save, you can see it reloads and reruns all of our code, which is really handy. So far, what we've done is we've set up our bot, we've logged it in, we told it to listen for messages, but right now our bot is not a part of any Discord server. We need to add this bot to a Discord server. And for our example, let me just pull this over here. I just have a brand new Discord server that I've created, and it's completely empty right now, and I'm the only person in this server. And I can type in a message, for example, and I want to be able to react to that message with the bot that we just created. So in order to do that, we need to go back to our Discord portal here, and we need to go to this section called OAuth2. This is going to help us by giving us a URL we can use to add our bot to a server. And once you click on OAuth2, if you scroll down a little ways, you'll see this section called Scopes. And here, all we want to do is click on this one that says bot. This essentially is saying that we are a bot. And then if we scroll down a little further, you can see that we have this copy section as well as these bot permissions that we can add. Right now, we don't need any permissions because our bot is very basic. So we can just click this copy, and then all we need to do is paste this into a new tab. And what's going to happen is it's going to load this up, and it says my first bot application connected to Discord, and it says where do you want to add this bot to? And you can select your server. In our case, my first bot test is the server that I created for this, and we're going to authorize the bot inside of that server, and then just say that you're not a robot. That's just saying that you personally are not a robot, you're not automating this tasks, and you can see it's been authorized. And if I scroll over Discord here, you can see that it added the my first bot to our members list, and if we come over here, you can see my first bot. So now immediately I can type in, for example, ping and the bot is going to respond with Pong, which is great. And you notice it even tagged me. And the reason that it tagged me, if I just move this to the side, is that we used message.reply. What that's going to do is it's going to tag the current user and post this message inside of the channel that you're currently inside of. If instead you don't want to tag the user, you could just say message.channel.send, and then you send a message to that channel, for example, not tagged. Let's just comment out this other message, save. It's going to reload our bot, and now you can see it's logged in. So if we type in ping, you can see it's just going to post the message not tagged, and you notice it didn't actually tag me. So now instead of making our bot a really boring bot that just responds to messages of ping with Pong or not tagged, I want to add a little bit more to this bot. And one thing that would be really important to add is the ability to add a role to a user. This is actually what I did in my own personal bot. And one role that you may want to add is like a moderator role. Obviously, you don't want to create a bot that allows people to become mods on your server, but it's a great use case for this example. So let's say that we want to test when someone types in a specific command to give them a moderator role, and if they do, the bot will give them that role. What we want to do is generally have a command that's not going to be commonly typed, because right now ping may be a commonly typed thing. It would be kind of weird to make that do a certain command, which is why generally you'll start your commands with something like an exclamation point or a $sign or whatever it is you want to do for your bot. You could do exclamation point WDS if it's, my own bot. But in our case, we're just going to use exclamation point as like our bot command prefix. And then our command here is going to be mod me. And generally with commands, you want to make them all one word. It just makes things so much easier to work with. So this is going to be our command for modding a user. And in here, all we need to do is take the user of this message and add a certain role to them. So we can say message.member. This is the person that posted the member. We can get all of their roles by saying .roles. And then all we need to do is add a role to the user. And we could say something like moderator. And if we have a role with that name on our server, it'll add that to the user. We can actually test this. I just come into here, go to server settings, and I go to roles, and I add in a role that's called moderator. Let's just make it yellow so it's really easy to distinguish who our mods are. And we'll save this. And we go exit out of here. Just need to expand the screen to find the X button. There it is. Okay, so now I can, for example, add the role moderator to myself. And if we look over in the member list, my name is now yellow. And when I type, all my new messages have yellow because I have that moderator role, and I can remove this. And now what I want to do is add that role to myself automatically, because right now I don't have that role, I just removed it. So if I type in exclamation point mod me, hit enter, you can see if I come over here, I don't actually have any roles being added. So clearly our bot is not actually doing this correctly. And the reason for that is that we didn't save this bot.js file. So let's just save this real quick, let everything rerun, and then we'll run the command mod me again. And again, you'll notice it still doesn't actually work. I don't have that role. And the reason for this, if we scroll up here a little ways, it'll tell us that we don't have the correct permissions. It says unhandled promise rejection, supplied roles is not a role. Okay, so first of all, it's saying it can't find the role moderator. The reason it can't actually find this role is because roles aren't always based on a name. They're really based on an ID that's hidden. Everything in Discord has an ID. If I were to right click on a message, you can see I can click copy ID. And if I just paste this, it'll paste the ID. Most likely you don't have that option though. So you actually need to go into your Discord settings. Let me see if I can just expand this a little bit. So once you click on your user setting, what you need to do is scroll down to appearance and scroll down a little ways, and you'll see a section here called developer mode. Make sure that you enable developer mode, and that'll make it so that you can right click and copy the ID of literally anything that you want. So if we go back to our server here and go to our server settings in our roles, we can right click on this moderator role, copy the ID, and then we can just use that ID over here. So we can paste the ID here instead of using the string moderator. And now we can add the role based on the ID to the user. Let me just escape out of this real quick. And now if I rerun that mod me command, again, we're going to get an error down here. It's a little bit different error than before though. So if we just scroll up to see what that error is, you're going to see it says Discord API error, missing access. Essentially, the bot does not have the ability to give people roles. So you need to add that permission into the Discord bot. So if we go back to Chrome here, go to our Discord developer tools, here you can see this bot permissions section. What we want to do is allow our bot to manage roles. When we click on this, it's going to give us a new URL up here, which has that permission added. So we can just copy this URL and we can paste this again into a new tab. And we're going to go through the same process of adding the bot to this server, clicking continue. And now you can see it says, do you want to allow your bot to manage roles? We do, so we're going to click authorize. Now, if we come back into Discord, I'll just minimize this. We're back at Discord, click on our server settings, and go to the roles section, you're going to notice something. We now have a new role, which is specifically assigned to the bot that we just created. And this has the ability to manage roles. As you can see right here, manage roles is checked. We could uncheck this and check it. We could also give them other roles if we wanted. It's really up to you. But usually I like to make these changes inside of the Discord developer section and copy over that URL as opposed to doing it here. I just find it easier. Now you may think this is all we need to make our application work, but when we run mod me, we're going to run into another error. And you're going to be really confused by this one. I was the first time I ran into this. If we just scroll down a little bit, we're going to get the exact same error, missing permissions. And the reason for that is in Discord, the way that roles work is that the roles can only modify other roles below them. So right now, our moderator role is above our bot role. We need to put our bot role first, saying that it has abilities to control the moderator role. Now, if we save that and we run this command, we should have everything work. So if I run mod me, hit enter, you can see immediately I now have that moderator role on my user. So now this is great, but there's one thing I kind of want to talk about a little bit before we start adding more commands to our bot. Because as we add more and more commands to our bot, this file could get really messy. So generally, if you're going to have a bot prefix, in our case exclamation point, I like to just put that in a variable. We're going to call this bot prefix, and it's just equal to exclamation point. Then I like to put my commands inside of another type of thing here. So we could say const mod me command is equal to mod me. Then when we check our message context, all we need to do is check to see if it is the combination of our bot prefix and our mod me command. This is just saying that we're now running that mod command. And then here, instead of directly doing this code, what I would like to do instead is to create a function. So we could say like mod user, and we're going to type in the message.member that we want to mod. And then down here, if we have a function called mod user, which takes in a member, we can run that code. And we can just say member.roles.add. This just makes your code a little bit cleaner and easier to work through instead of pasting all your code inside client.onMessage, because that's where a lot of your code's going to go. Instead, we're breaking it out into individual functions and putting our commands up here. And again, if we save this and I remove that moderator role for myself, and we can just check to make sure I am not a mod. And if I run mod me, you can see I now turned into a mod. So it's still working, which is great. Now, another thing that we can do is actually make our bot react to messages. Let's just come in here and say, if the message.content is equal to I love WDS. This is not going to be an actual command. This is just going to be a random piece of text, similar to when we did ping and pong. If this is the case, I want the bot to put a heart on that message, because anybody that loves WDS is awesome, in my opinion. So we want this bot to react to the message. So we can say message.react. This allows us to add a reaction. And what we need to do in here is just paste an emoji. So we can copy any emoji you want. In our case, we're going to copy the heart emoji, and it's going to react with this heart emoji. And if you just Google heart emoji, you can copy it off the web pretty easily. And now once we save this file real quick, and I type in I love WDS, hit enter, you can see the bot has added the heart emoji, which is awesome. So we're able to do some really cool stuff with the bot. Another thing I want to look at is a different type of event that we can use. In our case, I just want to come up here and do an event for whenever we delete a message, because I don't really want anybody to delete messages off our server, so I want the bot to yell at people that delete messages. And this is going to take in the message that is deleted. And all we want to do is get the channel for where this person deleted the message. And all we're going to do is send a message that just says, stop deleting messages. Whoops, messages, just like that. And now if we go in here and delete a message, you're going to notice this doesn't actually work. So if we click delete message and we click OK, you're going to notice the bot doesn't do anything. It doesn't yell at us. And you may be wondering why that is. So you may type out a new message, hit enter, and you delete that new message. And then you notice that when we delete this, the bot actually worked that time. So why is it that the bot is working for new messages, but not old messages? This is because of something called partials. When we create our client, we can specify in here something called partials. And partials essentially tell us what we want to be able to react to or listen to that happened before the bot logged in. Because before the bot logged in, we had all these messages because we're resetting our bot every single time that we make changes. And we want to be able to react to messages that occurred before the bot logged in. So what we need to do is just say we want a partial for message, because we want to be able to interact with things and messages that happened before we actually logged into this server. So now if we resave our bot just logged in right now, but if we delete one of these old messages it's going to still respond with stop deleting messages, because partials is saying we want to interact with the things that are already there before we logged into the server. So with that, we have a really basic bot setup. All it does is yell at us if we delete messages, and it responds to a few different messages. And what I want to do is make sure that this bot runs all the time, because right now, if I stop running this bot locally, and now I, for example, type in something like, I love WDS, it's no longer going to heart my message because the bot's not running. And I obviously want the bot to heart this message every single time that it happens. So we want to deploy this bot so that it's running 24/7 all the time. And generally you would need to pay for something like this, but I'm going to show you how to do this completely for free. And before we do that, we first need to commit all of our code to GitHub. So I'm just going to go inside of our git ignore and put node modules in here, just so we don't have our node modules. And then I'm going to type git init to initialize our Git repository. And if you don't have Git installed, just go down into the description below or in the cards. I have a video that's going to show you how to use Git and get it set up completely. Next, what we need to do is we need to add all of our changes. We need to commit our changes. We can just say first bot tests. And then what we need to do is push these changes. But right now we don't have a repository to push to, so we need to create one. So I just went to GitHub real quick and created a brand new repository called first bot test. If we just come down to this bottom section to push an existing repository, copy this, paste it, hit enter, give it a couple seconds, it should push all of the code over here. And then when we refresh, you can see we have all of our code on this page, which is great. This means all of our code is now on GitHub, and we can very easily deploy this onto something called Heroku completely for free. So now what you're going to need to do is go to Heroku.com, which I've already done, log in and create an account, and you should be brought to this dashboard page where most likely you won't have anything at all. I have my own Discord bot that's running right now, but yours should be blank. And what you need to do is you need to create a new app. So click new, create new app. When we do this, we give our application a name. I'm going to say my first bot, and we can click create app, and it looks like this is not available. So we're just going to add some random numbers to the end. It has to be a unique name. So there we go, create the application. And now we've created the first bot app. And what we need to do is connect this to GitHub. And luckily, our deployment methods down here is we can easily connect directly to GitHub. So if we click on this and scroll down and we type in our repository name, which I think was my first bot, and we hit search, it should find that for us. It didn't find anything with my first bot. So let's just try typing in bot and see what comes up. We'll click search. And as you can see, it says first bot test. We'll connect to that one. What's going to happen is it's going to connect to that repository, and every single time that we make changes to our code and re-push them to GitHub, it's going to automatically deploy those changes to our application so that they automatically update our bot that's running on our server. And as you can see here, it says what branch do you want to deploy? We're going to choose our main branch and enable automatic deploys. That way, every time we push those changes, they automatically get updated on our server, so our bot constantly stays up to date. And that's pretty much everything we need to do to get set up with our bot. But there's a few extra changes that we need to make in order to make sure our bot runs 100%. So let me just maximize this on our screen. We need to go to our settings. Here, we need to set up an environment variable for our bot token, because if you remember, we don't push our bot token, our .env file, to our GitHub. So right now, we don't have access to that. As you can see, there's no .env file. So we need to add our bot token in here. So we can call it bot token, and we can copy that value directly from our bot. So let's go to our bot, scroll up here, copy our token, and we're just going to paste that in here and click add. This allows us to keep our environment variable here completely safe, and we can even hide it so we don't accidentally expose this to other people, like when we're screen sharing, for example. And that right there should be everything you need to get set up with your application, but you're going to notice a slight problem. If we come over here and we go to the view logs, you're going to notice that our application hasn't even been deployed yet. There's no code saying our application's run. It should say our bot is logged in. So if we just go to deploy here, we want to trigger a manual deploy. So we're going to click deploy branch right here. This is just because we pushed our changes before creating our Heroku. So now, as you can see, it's actually building up and deploying our changes for us, which is great. And if we just come over here and view the logs, we should see some things being run inside of our logs if we just give it a little bit of time. So now once you have that set up, you can see it says our bot is ready to go. So if we open up Discord, which we already have open, so let me just move this off to the side, and we type in I love WDS, we should see it heart our message, which is exactly what we wanted. So we have our entire application completely deployed for free. But there's one limitation with Heroku, is you're only going to get so many hours of runtime on your application before you run out of free hours, and they reset every month. But you can get 1,000 free hours which are more hours than are in the full month, by just adding your credit card to Heroku. So if you go into, I think it's account settings or whatever, you can add your credit card information. It won't actually charge you unless you actually choose to have a deployment which costs money. So if we go to resources here, you can see that we have our application here, and this is a zero cost dyno. You can change to not use a free one, but as long as you have a free one selected, once you run out of hours, it just won't charge you, it'll just stop working. So by adding your credit card, you can go from 500 free hours a month to 1,000 free hours a month, which is enough for you to run one Discord bot completely for free without ever having to pay a dime for it, because 1,000 hours is more than the number of hours in each month. And that's all it takes to get set up and running with your very first Discord bot. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my other videos linked over here and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.